In the heart of a nation torn asunder, when the very soul of America teetered on the brink of collapse, one man stood tall against the storm. This is the story of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a humble man from the frontier who would be called upon to steer his country through its darkest hour. The year is 1861. The cannons have roared at Fort Sumter, and the United States is no longer united. Brother is pitted against brother in a brutal civil war, a conflict that will test the very foundations of the Republic. From the rolling hills of Gettysburg to the muddy trenches of Vicksburg, the land is stained with the sacrifice of a generation. And in the heart of it all, in a White House filled with tension and uncertainty, walks a solitary figure, Abraham Lincoln, a man of quiet strength and profound thought. We see him late at night, the flicker of a single candle illuminating his weary face as he drafts the words that will inspire a nation. His towering frame casts long shadows as he paces the silent corridors, the weight of a million lives resting on his shoulders. He wasn't born into power. He was a man of the people, with a deep-seated belief in the promise of American nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. His leadership was not one of loud commands, but of steady resolve and unwavering principle. He faced immense pressure, not just from the Confederacy, but from within his own government. Generals failed, politicians schemed, and the public's hope waned with every casualty list. Yet, through it all, Lincoln held fast to a singular, non-negotiable vision: the preservation of the Union. For him, this was not just a political goal. It was a sacred trust, a test of whether a government of the people, by the people for the people, could long endure. He wrestled with monumental decisions. With a stroke of his pen, he would sign the Emancipation Proclamation, a momentous act that transformed the war into a fight for freedom itself. This wasn't merely a strategic move. It was a moral reckoning, a promise that the scourge of slavery would be forever banished from the nation's soul. In his speeches, his words were not just rhetoric. They were prayers for a wounded country. At Gettysburg, standing on a field consecrated by blood, he called for a new birth of freedom, reminding everyone what they were truly fighting for. His humility was as remarkable as his intellect. He met with soldiers, listened to the pleas of ordinary citizens, and bore the nation's grief as his own. He understood that true leadership wasn't about standing above the people, but standing with them, sharing in their struggles and their hopes. He carried the burden of the war with a heavy heart, his face etched with the sorrow of a divided family, yet his spirit remained unbroken. As the war drew to its agonizing close, Lincoln's thoughts turned to healing. In his second inaugural address, with victory in sight, he spoke not of triumph, but of reconciliation, with malice toward none, with charity for all. He urged, "Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds." His vision was not for a conquered South, but for a reunited America, a nation made whole again, stronger and more just than it had ever been before. The final cannons fell silent. The Union was preserved. The chains of slavery were broken. A new dawn was rising over America, a future purchased at a terrible price but illuminated by the promise of liberty and justice for all. Lincoln's journey was complete. He had guided his country through the fire, and in doing so, had not only saved the United States, but had redefined its very meaning. His legacy is not just etched in stone monuments, but is woven into the fabric of the nation itself, a timeless reminder that even in our darkest moments, leadership, sacrifice, and an unwavering belief in the better angels of our nature can guide us toward the light. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you were inspired by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more chapters from history.